Bloomberg is going only for Super Tuesday live right now. Yeah. Woo. How's Iowa? D'Anthony, we always say the same thing on this show. Iowa doesn't exist. Well, it does now, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It still doesn't exist.
Is this the fucking sim world we're living in right now?
I feel like a real city would have figured this shit out, or a state would have figured this shit out.
I cannot believe what happened, not only last night, but going into right now. They're doing a press conference live right now. They rolled out a real Iowan, which is what they call them if you're from Iowa. An Iowan.
Which is ironic because Iowa itself, again, is not real.
Yeah, not real. But look, if you're living in a free state of mind, you can name yourself whatever you want. King Dingaling is what I chose as a child. You know, some might say, hey, Ross, that wasn't the best name. Bro, you're not living in my world. You're not living in my world. And the Democrats aren't living in a world in which they can possibly win an election. Man, I just want to run you through the last week here of what has transpired because it seems almost unbelievable. First of all, Friday, they lost the ability to bring more witnesses in the impeachment trial. By all intents and purposes, that's it. It's over. Trump will be acquitted tomorrow. This is an emergency episode, so we are live as all of this is going on.
It's going to be a good week for the Republicans.
It's going to be a great week for the Republicans. Then you roll into Sunday night, okay?
Yep.
Now, Sunday night, Iowa typically releases their last and final poll saying, hey, here's who we think is the favorite. Here's who we think is going to win the caucus the night before. This is a tradition that's gone on for years and years and years and years and years. They had an error, and they said something was wrong with their final polling numbers, that they couldn't give a poll the night before for the first time in the history of their caucuses in Iowa. Mm-hmm. That probably should have been our first clue.
Yeah.
Hey, man, shit's really not working here. Sorry about it. But maybe we'll get it right the next night. And last night happens. First of all, everybody was watching the Super Bowl on Sunday night anyway, so it kind of breezed through it. Nobody gave a fuck.
Right.
Final tally came in. It was 102 million Americans watching it. Quick number count for those of you out there. There's only 338 in America, so 1 out of 3 was watching the Super Bowl. No one was paying attention to this error in the Iowa caucus final poll the night before. Now, Super Bowl's over Monday morning. Everybody and their mother, CNN, Fox, every single morning show, everybody's excited to see who the Democratic nominee is going to be, who's going to win the first primary, who's going to win the first caucus in Iowa. In Iowa incurs the biggest meltdown maybe in voting history, I would say at this point. Besides, you brought up Florida off air.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Florida was a shit show.
Yes.
But so far, the problem there was manual. Like, when you go to a recount, there's a lot more scrutiny. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that they came out so fast and, and made an announcement and then started releasing results. Now, they're claiming, the DNC there is claiming that they don't have any. There's no there are errors, but there's no like foul play or anything like that. Like nobody tried to hack it. It was just a fucking mistake. The app sucked.
Right.
I guess,
so,
which we should have seen coming because the last time, the Democratic Party tried to roll out a major piece of technology, it was the Affordable Care Act website, and it crashed immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like,
for months, by the way, it was down for like 2 months or something crazy.
So no surprise there, but they're saying that the numbers they're putting out now aren't tainted.
Okay.
Which is, obviously they're going to say that. But even CNN it's not in their best interest to talk about how fucked up this whole thing is because they clearly support the left. But they said just a few minutes ago that one of the people that works at the company at the higher level mm-hmm. that made this app, someone that's related to them or their spouse or some shit like that has worked for the Buttigieg campaign.
Currently does, yes.
Or currently does, okay. So that's not a good look. I mean, that's you really want to avoid stuff like that if you can help it. But, look, They're not doing it, and now people have said Mayor Cheat this week. I think Cheat and Pete is probably what Trump will go with.
Ooh, I like Cheat and Pete a lot.
I think you're going to see the phrase Cheat and Pete on Twitter probably before this day is over. Sometime before midnight, I would expect to see it. Unless Trump's got other shit going on, then you'll see it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, oddly enough, he does. He's got a little thing called the State of the Union address tonight.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he actually. God, I wish there was a bet on this.
So do I.
What are the chances that Trump says Cheat and Pete at the fucking State of the Union address tonight?
So, by the way, the pre-roll for this show says Trump is going to go all in on his impeachment foes tonight, live on TV, because they'll be there. This is from the House itself, so they're going to be sitting in front of him.
Well, Buttigieg won't be there.
Nancy Pelosi will be Gator clapping, Florida Gator clapping.
She can clap all she wants.
I want to see him clap back and turn around and clap back to her and just be like, cool. Because, look, you have this Iowa caucus disaster is what everybody's calling it. It's the hashtag that's been number one on Twitter for the last 48 hours, essentially. Which, again, another black eye for the Democratic Party and the DNC. Now is the State of the Union with Trump, who not only gets to make fun of this, because he's going all in on Iowa tonight. He's going all in on the people that try to impeach him tonight. And then tomorrow, he's going to get acquitted from this impeachment that by all appearances seems like another hoax and a ruse. My question is this. You had 3 years to just pick a candidate that could win. Instead, you focused on marching, crying, bitching, a fake Russia hoax based on a dossier which was paid for by the Clinton campaign of Russian prostitutes pissing on a bed. That's real, that they paid for this and that they actually tried to put this out.
Well, now Iran is saying they're going to publish it, which is funny. I saw somebody in this, Jared and I are in this group with a bunch of extremely left-leaning people.
Mm-hmm.
And we...
just to do it?
Just to troll them, just talk shit. But we hang out in there, and it's like somebody posted that earlier today, and I'm like, all right, so this is what you're telling me, Mr. Democrat. You're siding with Iran over a sitting U.S. president.
Yeah.
Maybe get those priorities in order. Like if you're no longer rooting for your country, you're rooting for your political party, and that is a problem. It's a problem that George Washington warned us about, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's funny. You posted that the other day on your Instagram. Are you at Dan Holloway on Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, follow him. I love your memes, by the way, in your stories. But I read that, and it was very prophetic, obviously.
But it is what it is. I mean, that's where we are now. Like, whether you're Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or fucking Tea Party or Progressive or whatever, Green Party, whatever stupid bullshit you subscribe to, if you're rooting for that in lieu of the best for, like, look, think about it as a football game, an ideological football game. I want you to run the ball. Run the fucking ball. But you know what? Sometimes you're going to throw it and like, oh, shit, that worked. Good. Yeah. If your team wins at the end of the day, then who gives a shit how you got there? Like the economy's pretty good. A lot of stuff is going pretty well for people. Unemployment's down, particularly for minorities. All that bullshit. So if you look at a success and because you disagree with the methodology, you start rooting against your country and for your political party, then brother, you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what your political party is, if you're a Republican or Democrat. If Obama did something in his day, like when, and honestly, I'm sure you saw it, the Republicans did the same bullshit. They tried to fucking kill the Affordable Care Act 45 times, and they didn't have the votes. They knew it. It was this political grandstanding bullshit. Mm-hmm. And, honestly, it carried over from the previous Congress, the Democratic Congress, trying to block everything Bush did. But it's just nonsense. Like, do your fucking job. Your job is not to obstruct. It's to get things done. And there's a lot of stuff that you can get done. The problem is none of these people will look inward ever. They will continue to prop up their own political ideology over the country. Yeah. And that's why we're fucked.
Yeah, and because I'm in the same camp as you. Like, however, I actually lean towards a political party. Obviously, I love Trump, and me personally, Yes, if Obama's in there, like I want the country to succeed. I want the job rates to be, the jobs to be through the roof. Like everything across the board. Like, you know, if I'm not happy who won the fucking election, great. Then I re-vote in 4 years and I try to change it. Right? Yeah. I'm not gonna fucking go and stand in somebody's yard, wear a pussy hat, or bitch about every fucking single decision. I don't care. I thought the impeachment was a bad idea when Republicans did it to Clinton in 99. Mm-hmm. I think this was a bad idea now, and this is going to backfire. The Gallup numbers just came out, ironically, this morning. And not only is it Donald Trump at his highest approval rating in his since he was elected, but at this point, the same exact point in his tenure, if you will, in the White House, he's higher than Obama was at the same exact day during his first term. So clearly he's doing something right. The market today shot through the roof with all the Democratic shit, the chaos happening. I mean, you're up close to 550 the last time I looked. I didn't see the closing bell, but
yeah,
jobs are through the roof, approval ratings through the roof. Now he's going into tonight's thing, the State of the Union, with every single piece of firepower he could possibly want in his arsenal. So, Jesus Christ, this is. It can't go worse for the Democrats. The good thing is I guess if you're trying to find a half full glass on this one, you can say it's early and you still got another 9 months before the election. But
yeah, it is. And look, this will pass like all things pass. The problem is the results of Iowa.
Yeah. So these just came out. Do me a favor and read these off for the audience here.
Yeah. So this is the last update was at 5:11 p.m. Eastern, and it's now 5:24. And 62% of precincts are reporting in. Right now, here are the results. So Pete Buttigieg has 26.9%.
Okay,
he's leading the pack.
All right.
Bernie has 25.1.
It's close.
Pocahontas has 18.3. By the way, Steve Byrne, our buddy, the comedian Steve Byrne. If you don't follow him, you should. I think it's Steve Byrne Live or some shit like that on Instagram. He's really funny. At any rate, he's made quite a few funny Elizabeth Warren jokes over the last week or so. So I've been enjoying those. And then Biden, of course, who filed a lawsuit, has 15.6%.
He's in fourth place in Iowa.
Yeah, and Klobuchar is 3 points behind him. She's at 12.6, and the only other person who
registered
really placed was Andrew Yang. He had 1.1, and that
Yang
Steyer got 0.3, but nobody else.
I think Steyer already dropped out though, right? He's gone.
I don't know.
He's gone. I think.
I never paid attention to him in the fucking first place. But here's the problem. Like, yeah, you're right that it's still early in the election cycle, right? And because of 24-hour news, we all know this. People will forget about this shit soon. Next week, we'll be talking about some other bullshit.
Right.
But here's the problem for the Democrats. So typically, whomever wins in Iowa wins the nomination.
Yeah, so 7 out of the last 10, and every one for all the way up through 2000 has whoever's won Iowa has typically won the nomination.
Yeah, just going in reverse order. Hillary won and got the nomination, despite probably not actually getting the nomination.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say it because I'm looking. If you look on CNN's page, I don't know how everybody else has it listed out. That's why I'm referencing them. But there's a first round and a final round. And the first, I don't know if you know how caucusing works, but everybody votes in the first round, and you try to come to a little bit better consensus in the second round. So in the first round,
and you're allowed to switch after that.
Yep.
So if your candidate isn't viable, you're allowed to go over and say, all right, great, I'll join someone else.
So a lot of people actually did vote for Tulsi Gabbard and Tom Steyer and Bloomberg and all these people. And then once they figured out their vote was meaningless, they fucking switched to a different team, right?
Okay.
So the first round is whatever. The second round, though, when the results are supposedly completely accurate, if you want to call it accurate, Sanders is about 1,200 votes ahead of Buttigieg in a race that only has about 100,000 votes. So it's, that would be, I think he's outside of what would trigger a recall for the popular vote. But because of the delegate, because of the way it's like the what do you call it? The election college.
Electoral college, yeah.
Buttigieg actually has 27% of the delegates. So he's almost 2 points ahead of Sanders, despite losing the popular vote. So that's super funny to me. Anyways, I'll go in reverse order. So Hillary won in Iowa in 2016. She got the nomination. Obama obviously won in 2012. He was a sitting president, but he also won in 2008 when he was a new guy. John Kerry won in 2004, and Al Gore won in 2000. 96, Clinton was unopposed, and then this is the last time that someone didn't make it, and it was Tom Harkin, who, I mean, whatever the fuck.
What year was that?
1992. It was the year that Clinton won his first term, but Tom Harkin was Iowan. And you can maybe lay this situation off on the fact that Cheatin' Pete is a fucking Indiana guy, is right next door, right? He's in the Midwest, so maybe that's what it is. But then there's Dick Gephardt. In 88, he won Iowa, but did not win the nomination. It was Caucus.
Michael Dukakis.
Who came in late. And then Mondale in 84 won the nomination. Jimmy Carter, 80, won the nomination, lost to Reagan. And then 76, Carter won the nomination and won the presidency. So it's, let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
7 out of the last 10?
So 8 out of the last 11.
Okay.
But yeah, 7 out of the last.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 7 out of the last 10. So this is that's a pretty good predictor of who's going to win. Honestly, I mean, if it's 70% accurate, I would take those. I would bet on that if I was a gambling person, and I am. Well, if I knew a piece of data was 70% accurate, that is enough to act on.
Yeah.
So are we now supposed? And look, it's not over yet. There's only 62% of precincts reporting in, but are we now looking at Buttigieg as the front runner just because he won Iowa, or are they going to try to lay it off on something else? What's Bernie going to have to say about this? And after so this will be super interesting to see not only what Trump says tonight, but which Democrats other than Buttigieg will pick up on what he says and use it in their campaigning. For example, they're not going to say Cheatin' Pete because that's not. Trump runs his campaigns like he's in the 1920s.
Yeah.
It's like fucking weird.
That's what they used to do in the 1890s. Yeah.
It's very bizarre, but it works.
It works. It's been effective for 150 years.
But Bernie Sanders doesn't have like a sense of humor or irony or anything, so he's not going to do that. Elizabeth Warren is. You couldn't fit a greased BB up her asshole.
Whew.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, she's the tightest ass person of all time. And then there's Joe Biden, who doesn't know where he is. He's actually, I think those little GPS or the Bluetooth tile things that you put on like your car keys or whatever?
Yeah.
In case you can't find them, you just press a button and it tells you where they are.
Yeah.
I think they've surgically implanted one in Biden now because he keeps wandering off.
Boy, he looks worse and worse. Finishing in 4th place is almost the death knell for his campaign. One would imagine. New Hampshire's coming up next week. And, Super Tuesday is March 3rd. That's when there's, 10, 12 states, something like that on the board. But if Biden doesn't do well in New Hampshire, he's close to being out of money now. There's a rumor that he's only got about $9 million left. In these states where you've got a campaign, you've done some campaigning before, helped some campaigns before in the past. In a state like Texas, you need a lot of manpower. That is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big state, but the population centers are pretty. It's Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas, Fort Worth. So, I mean, that's where everybody is. But, yeah, it is a lot. And
he could be out, man.
Biden's not the kind of guy. Look, I don't care. You would have to have had some kind of history of waffling on gun control to be able to win in Texas, I think. Even as a Democratic nominee. Yeah. Like, there has to be something you can point to in your past. Like, Sanders is actually, in my opinion, I think Sanders would win Texas just because.
He was on Joe Rogan?
No. Well, that's part of it. But he before his presidential runs, he was actually pretty pro-gun. Because the place where he lives, people are pro-gun. They don't give a shit about that. It's not an issue. There are no school shootings in Vermont and New Hampshire and that fucking area of the country. So, and then I just like economically, ideologically speaking, it's that weird split. It's like the libertarian idea that we don't care about. We just want to fucking pay lower taxes and keep our guns, and gay people can get married, and we want to smoke weed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just leave us alone. So I don't know if he can break through that. I don't know if any of these candidates can. I don't know if Texas is trending more and more towards a purple state. Like, you know, it's a toss-up, but it's not there yet. We saw that with
Ted Cruz,
with fucking Beto.
and Beto,
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't. Actually, Ted Cruz has a podcast now.
It's number one.
It's super funny.
Is it really?
Like, he's just lighting people up all the time.
You know what? On the sly, Ted Cruz is always a piece of shit when he talks to me in public, right? On the sly, though, his Twitter's always been really funny. So when his podcast was number one, a friend of mine was listening to it. Like, hey, man, did you know Ted Cruz's podcast? I was like, no, but I bet it's funny if he's actually himself, you know, if he's not a politician.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a fucking gay mortician to me.
Well, he always has.
Now that he's grown the beard, it's a little less weird.
Wow. Is it?
Yeah, it's a little less weird.
Come on. It's Ted Cruz with a beard.
It is, but he doesn't, like, he's got a weird face. He looks like fucking Danny DeVito and Batman, like the Penguin.
Yeah, but it's like John Travolta pretending he's straight. Where you're just like, come on, man. Hugh Jackman with a beard. It's hey, man, we know the gig. My question is this: Bernie Sanders has been favored to win Iowa forever. Are any of his supporters going to believe this result? And according to this, what I'm reading right now in the analysis that just came out, of the information that come out, he's currently winning the popular votes in Iowa.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. So, what do you what is your takeaway from this? Like, and how do you get people to stop saying this is rigged by the DNC? Because he got fucked over last time. He should have won in 2016, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're coming out of the gate with Iowa this year, you got to know that fraud is going to be, and I don't mean voter fraud, I just mean fraud, electoral fraud in general, is going to be first and foremost. Like that's something like that, you know, if it happens or if there's any hint of it, the Bernie crew is going to jump all over it.
Right.
And man, to be honest, at this point, like the first time, a lot of people fucking, the mantra from the DNC was swallow your fucking pride and vote for the Democrat, right? And a lot of fucking Bernie people did not do that. And I was surprised personally to see him run again because he's old as fuck.
Yeah, he's 79.
But he did. Here he is. And I think, to be honest, man, even with the fact that Sanders supporters hate Trump, which is weird because ideologically speaking, they're not that far apart. I mean, the democratic socialism stuff is stupid. But Democrats proposing plans that they don't know how to pay for is nothing new. With the Affordable Care Act was the same way. What did Nancy Pelosi say? Let's pass this bill so we can see what's in it.
Oh yeah.
Get fucked.
And it's
that was 2009.
Anybody who has it,
new.
Anybody who has it can tell you how fucking much it sucks. I'm one of those guys who has it. So whenever you have a small company, you're forced to have it, which it keeps going up every single year for no reason. And we only have one provider here in North Carolina. Yeah. So it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah. So, you know, man, I don't know if there's not another Bernie Sanders coming down the pipe. There's not another Democratic Socialist. And look, for you, those of you out there that don't know the difference between socialism and democratic socialism, there is none. It's like there is a difference, but it's like what would democratic fascism be? We're all going to vote for fascism? Is that what it is? Because look, Spain did that back in the day, and so did Italy. It didn't really work out for them.
No.
Mussolini and, you know, fucking
Venezuela, if you want to see today.
Yeah.
It's working out great for them.
Well, that's socialism, which is not the same. So don't conflate the two. But it doesn't, like, what the idea that it's he's trying to distinguish between democratic socialism and standard socialism. It's like, yeah, I mean, technically there's an implication that socialism is when it's not democratic, the state controls everything, right? That's called communism. It's not socialism versus democratic socialism. It's communism versus socialism. You know what I mean, that you're talking about? Right. And there's not another one of him that has that kind of clout or following that's coming down the pipeline, like Buttigieg is not like that.
No,
at
not at
all.
all.
And
I'd say he probably falls in the moderate Democratic
yeah. So
column.
The point of all that fucking ranting is that how mad are Bernie? Because look, I don't think he's going to get the nomination. So how mad are they going to be now? Particularly if he doesn't win Iowa. I don't think even if he wins Iowa, he wins a nomination. But I definitely think if he loses Iowa, he's fucking, that's it.
Well, looking at these numbers, and again, I want to caution the audience because we're live here, and this is like an emergency last-minute show. 62% of the results are in. Now, according to you, it's about a 1.9% difference. Man, and again, Bernie's winning in the popular vote here. With 38% of the precincts still out there, is there a chance that he could win this?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance, but it's not that big of a caucus. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm looking at the numbers now for the final round. Maybe 100,000 votes are in. Okay. So that means there's another 30,000 out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have to make up for that amount of points. He would have to do really well for the rest of this thing. So it doesn't seem likely.
Okay.
But you never know. I mean, it depends. The smaller state or the smaller cities are usually the ones that report later. For the entirety of their stuff, but they usually get their shit in as a whole pretty fast. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So getting all the precincts from a big city can be a problem sometimes. And now they're having to fucking pretty much go through and verify everything that comes in.
Right.
So any large dump of information.
By hand. And they're doing this by hand. Last night, because I was following this last night as late as it possibly went, all of the candidates kind of called it right around the 10:45, 11:15 range, and they gave one more speech. It felt like a final cocktail party if you're watching The Bachelor, where you're just like, oh, all right, great. This is a huge group date, and we're all going to give our last pitch before we get a rose here. Biden was the first one to take off and leave. He had a lawyer, immediately hit them up with a letter saying, look, man, we want this contested. This is bullshit, and this is rigged, blah, blah, blah. Buttigieg at midnight started tweeting right before midnight, probably around 11:45. I was following him on Twitter. He declared himself the winner at 11:45 last night. I don't know how he had that info.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the DNC there showed them the results because from what I understand, right before this little press release they did today at 5 p.m., they didn't have any conversation with the candidates before that. They just walked out and said what they said.
Right.
So it's like, what the fuck? You know that the fact that all this stuff together, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy at all. I think there are conspiracies that happen, JFK, et cetera. But
yeah.
I'm not one that jumps on the bandwagon pretty easily. But when there's so many things that point in that direction, one is the history. So Bernie being fucked over in the past, right?
And this is documented that he got fucked over in 2016. They were giving questions to Hillary Clinton for
Donna Brazile
yeah.
Donna Brazile, who was
for the debates,
working for the DNC and also working for CNN at the time, and then afterwards became the DNC director.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's not great. But the history of this and Bernie getting fucked over before, then Buttigieg having a staffer who is connected to the company that made the fucking software.
Yeah.
And the fact that he
was the first person out of the gate that said, I won the caucus last night.
Yeah, so I don't know where he got that information from, but who knows? Because Biden apparently got information that he wasn't doing well. That's why he fucked off. So maybe
he got on the plane first. So he was the first flight out, and he went to New Hampshire.
Yeah, maybe
the next one is.
Maybe they all had it. I don't know, but just all those facts together make it seem super shady.
Yep.
And it's more than likely just incompetence. This part of it. The part where they're not reporting on time, but that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't something shady going on.
Right.
And, man, I just don't know. I don't know what, Bernie's going to do a lot of fundraising on this. I'll say that.
So it's funny you say that. Everybody on Twitter is donating. I guess he does that $38 thing. And there's been a lot of donations coming in for Bernie. The Bernie bros are pissed off right now.
Yep.
Go to Twitter and have fun under Bernie Sanders right now. People are livid. They're saying it's rigged. They're saying the DNC rigged this entire thing. Look, they took away the 2016 election from him.
Well, there's nothing illegal about that, by the way.
There isn't. But
the DNC can do whatever the fuck they want as a private organization.
They can, but it doesn't mean the public is going to trust you anymore by doing this shit. This certainly didn't help their fucking cause. Now, with 62% in, we are less than we're right around 3 hours away from Trump's State of the Union. There probably isn't going to be a clear-cut winner by the start of the State of the Union. This is nothing but endless victory laps this is a Baker Mayfield planting a flag in the Ohio State ground celebration for the Republicans.
We'll see. It depends on if I'm Trump's team right now. Usually you have a director of communications and the deputy is a friend of ours actually. And then you have people who are writers and all they do is write speeches, do research and write speeches, policy papers, speeches, all this shit. Right now you have to wonder what their focus is. Like there's easy parts. Cheating Pete is easy.
Yeah.
Fucking it wouldn't hurt Trump to come out and say that Bernie's going to get fucked over again. Because that's what happened last year and it discredits the DNC in general, which helps him. Although it does amplify Bernie's stature a little bit, but I mean nobody that's a Trump fan is going to vote for Bernie anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you got to wonder if what's he going to spend the majority of his time talking about? Is because he's openly said, or his team has openly said, they're going to talk about all these dickholes. Right. Maybe not the presidential candidates, but definitely the impeachment shit.
Oh yeah.
So he's going to be lighting Democrats up all night. So I'm very curious to see who he decides to hammer. Think about it. I guess if you were tearing down and doing a demo on a building or something, you're swinging a hammer around, you see a piece that's just kind of hanging on, do you just knock it out to get it out of the way, or do you keep beating on the fucking big piece? You know what I mean? Yeah. So is Joe Biden that hanger on right now that he can just give one more crush and get him out of there? Because look, despite all the shit that's happened with Biden, that is who the establishment wanted. The DNC
they still do.
The DNC wanted Biden. He is not going to be there. Yeah. There's no fucking way. So, if you're Trump, you got to think that Biden's probably the only person that can beat you, because he's the only one that is going to get the full weight and support of the DNC. If Warren or Sanders wins, there's no fucking way they're getting all of it.
What about Buttigieg?
Maybe, since he's a little bit more moderate and he's younger, which they will read as malleable. Mm-hmm. So because we don't know Pete as a fucking major national player yet.
He's 38 years old. He's a mayor of South Bend. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know him as a national player yet. But man, I mean, who is going to vote for a 38-year-old for president?
A gay man. And he's doing. Look, and I say that in a way of, there is a big section of America who still votes on religion.
Yeah. Well, he's a
that's
Christian.
Still going on. I understand it. But you're still going to have a hard time for some people. I'm not one of them. I don't give a shit what you are, to be honest with you. I'm not one of them. I live in this fucking century. But Dan, growing up in the South, as did I, that there is segments of the fucking culture that still look at that and be like, well that's not a fucking...
Let's be real specific about that. The reason, I would say that the biggest reason that the DNC wants Biden is because black people will vote for him.
Yes.
He is...
Buttigieg is polling terrible amongst African-American voters right now.
Yeah. And Biden always does well with black voters. Mm-hmm. Has even back in the day. So that would be... If I had to guess why they were so hyped on Biden despite all of his fucking bullshit, I would say that's probably it. It's still very interesting to me that Obama hasn't said anything about any of these people yet.
He doesn't like any of them.
No, I mean, he doesn't like himself, I don't think, to be honest.
Well... I think he wishes he could jump back in there at this point, because what I've heard, he bought a house in Washington, and he's been consulting candidates, right? Mm-hmm. He adamantly hates Sanders and Warren because that they're socialists and he does not think they cannot win. This is the rumor coming out of his house.
Well, I can tell you right now that black people aren't voting for Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders.
No.
And they're not going to vote for Mayor Pete, a white dude who's had problematic relationships with black people in his hometown. Like with regard to shady, what do you call it? Slumlord kind of bullshit. Mm-hmm. Not him specifically, but how he dealt with it and things like that. Plus, if there's a whiter city on earth in South Bend, Indiana, I would love to see it.
Yeah,
I mean,
find that.
Yeah, just like show me where it is. I just want to go there and look around and be like, fuck this. I'm out of here. There's nothing going on here. But
I think his only choice, if he were to win the nomination, he would have to get either Cory Booker or Kamala Harris to be a VP.
No way with her.
I agree she's unlikable.
Kamala Harris is unlikable, and she can't be a number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's too alpha to be a number 2. Like Biden is a great VP. He should be a VP again. He should have been fucking Hillary's VP choice, to be honest. I mean, he honestly should have been. He's good at that. He's good at doing that job.
He was pissed because that was his window, and Obama had come to him and said, "Hey, man, we're supporting Hillary over you," and that's how they went on about that. But I agree, you're right. But pride wouldn't do it. Plus, look, who wants to work for Hillary Clinton? Usually end up dead.
But yeah, when you have those issues, I mean, so the reason I brought up the black community is because not only with Buttigieg's history with them and the fact that he's a fucking white boy from the Midwest. Not that matters to all voters, obviously, but there are a lot of voters it doesn't matter to, and there is still a lot of stigma about gayness, particularly male gayness, in the black community, particularly in the South, which is where he needs to win.
Yes.
So I don't see it. I don't think he can win because of that, which is sad to say because it shouldn't matter, but it is what it is, right?
It is.
And, we can criticize the DNC for trying to fucking block people like that they don't think can win, but that ultimately their job is to make sure that the most qualified candidate who can actually win gets put up for nomination.
Hence, they threw Hillary in there.
Yeah, but she was not. She was not the most qualified candidate.
That's what I said.
She was a turd.
That's what I say. Yeah.
And she's like one of the most unlikable human beings on earth.
Yes.
She's like the LeBron James of politics.
Real quick, we got some sponsors here who pay for this whole fucking shit wagon to be on the air. First and foremost, ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros. Nothing more I can say other than 25% off everything in the whole fucking store. 25% off mattresses, pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, you name it. As always, they got a 36-month pay-as-you-go program, no interest. That still applies with the 25% off of everything, which is a goddamn miracle. We have all of these beds and mattresses in our houses, the pillows, the sheets, everything. We love them more than life. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros today. 25% off everything in the entire store. Next up, we got KillcliffCBD.com. Democratic parties should be drinking endless cans of this tonight after the State of the Union. There's 25 milligrams of CBD in each can. You will not test for it if you got a drug test at your work. I know a lot of first responders listen to the show. This is Killcliff. Come on. It's a name you can trust. They've been in the business for a very long time. And with the promo code Drinkin Bros, you get 20% off every case, and they ship for free. They ship for free with the promo code Drinkin Bros. My favorite is the grape. Dan's is the mango and the orange. Gigantic fans of this. I drink a can of this every single night. Go to killcliffcbd.com today. 25 milligrams of CBD. They ship it for free. It's legal. They're the only ones doing it right now. They got a fucking license, I feel like. And it doesn't have a bunch of Asian writing on the can, so you know what you're taking. Go to killcliffcbd.com. Promo code Drinkin Bros. 20% off and free shipping. It is amazing. Last but not least, Anthony, we got buyraycon.com/Drinkin Bros. Best headphones in the business.
Yep.
Boom, right here. Pointing them out. 6 hours. Best wireless in the biz. You recharge them in a box. They last 6 hours, dude. And they're affordable. That's the key. We try to get iTunes on board with the Beats by Dr. Dre. They said, F off, bro. We're going to keep our price point at $300. Raycon at buyraycon.com/Drinkin Bros. So we're going to knock them down to $55 with the URL. And these are loud as shit, great to run with, and endless rubber pieces for your ears, no matter how big your ear holes are. Go to buyraycon.com/Drinkin Bros today. Get these bitches for $55. bucks. What's the point of releasing a partial poll
I don't know.
if you
I
don't
was
have
thinking
it?
that.
If you don't have the outcome of this Iowa caucus, why release a partial poll?
I
at
have
this
no
point?
idea. I mean,
it doesn't help your case any. And what did you do for the last, let's say 17 hours at this point?
well, I suppose they were thumbing through all the vote. Like, there's two options, right? So in the past, whomever was in charge of that precinct would just call and say, "Hey, here are our results."
Mm-hmm.
And now they've got this app that failed miserably.
Yep.
So I think the app worked for some people and some people didn't. But I think they're going back to, like, if I'm them, I'm not using the app for anything anymore. I'm calling every single precinct. But here's what I don't understand is, forget about the app.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about the app. How many precincts are there in total? Do you know?
In Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
No idea. No idea. I'm not one of those people who's like a Twitter warrior who's like, hey, man, I know everything about politics just because, we're in a contentious time of the year for the elections and all this. I have no fucking
Okay,
idea.
there's 1,681
Oh, God. Is it really?
precincts. Yeah,
I would have said 80, 82 maybe.
1,681 precincts, right?
Oh, boy.
So this is real easy. Each county should have a manager, I would imagine, or each county should have a manager. So that county manager calls all the precincts, asks them for their numbers, puts the numbers in a fucking spreadsheet, reads them out to whomever's on the phone who puts them in the spreadsheet, and then you tally the votes. It's really that simple.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you and I are running for school board right now, right? We're running as independents just because we don't believe there should be politics in the school board, although, I am Republican. But we have to get signatures door to door. We have to do it by hand. And they told us on the phone, they said, look, man, some of these might be illegible and we don't know. We don't feel comfortable asking for their addresses. And I was like, how are you guys going to verify this? Who's going to take the time to go through all of this shit and look at these signatures and weird shit by hand? I think we give too much credit to what we think is going on.
Yeah.
In these elections, not only local but state and national, and truthfully, they're just not there yet, man. And I think they're trying this technology. Why they didn't test it beforehand is way the fuck out of my pay grade. Like, what? That would have been the first thing you did was like, hey, man, we're going to give this a test run before that we go through this.
Yeah, you would think so. Here's the problem, though, with this whole theory that the app failed, and not theory, but this is what they're reporting. It's 1,681. That's how many fucking interactions they should have been expecting, because with however many fields it is, how many candidates were on the ballot? Fucking 12.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 candidates that received votes of some kind, not including Trump and the two dummies who ran against him, Weld and Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, everybody knows that fucking turd. Anyways, so a total of 14 candidates, right? And 1,681, that's how many data points you're looking at. So you're looking at 14 times 1,681. That's how many total data points you would have had for reporting from these precincts, because it's either 0 to 100 for each 14 of those candidates for whatever the fuck. You're telling me that you made an app in 2020 that can't handle fucking a couple thousand, 10,000 data points? I mean, shit, man. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. You can get somebody off of Fiverr who could do that.
You could literally do this by hand in less than 24 hours. So the fact that they're still figuring it out, to me, it's more than just the app. People are focusing on the incompetence of the app and all that shit, but some shady shit has gone down. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fucking hand counting this stuff. All they would have done was, like an umbrella, like a fucking call-out roster in the military, everybody that's in charge would have called their person who's in charge and down the line, and then the information would have gone back up. It would not have taken this long to get 1,680 results.
Right.
There's no fucking way. They should have 100% of this reporting done already, unless there's something other than the app at play, which means somebody doesn't believe somebody. You know what I mean?
Which is what happened Sunday night with the final poll, where they said, hey, man, we think there was some fraudulent goings on, if you will, and they said, look, we don't feel comfortable releasing a final poll who we think is going to win. Something happened. Something clearly happened in this. Nate Silver, who I actually dislike, fucking hate Nate Silver, Guy makes one fucking call and makes an entire career off of it on the 538s. But he had a great point that this might have screwed up the entire nomination process. And to his point, what essentially he's talking about here is take somebody like Klobuchar. Because you don't know these votes and what the outcome is. Now she gets on a flight last night, goes to New Hampshire. She's campaigning her ass off, spending some money there because she thinks she's got a chance. There was a lot of people doing interviews last night that were like, we love Amy Klobuchar or whatever, right? Because they didn't have these results in time, these candidates are now hightailing it to New Hampshire thinking they might have a chance. Some of them don't. Biden's there. Should he spend time elsewhere? This is going to fuck up the entire election process. Not that it matters at this point. To me, this was the final nail. Unless the economy shits the bed, this is the final nail for the Democratic Party in the caucus.
I don't think the economy has time to shit the bed between now and November unless there's like a natural disaster or a terrorist attack. You know what I mean? Like it would take our trade deals with China. Well, China's fucked right now. So anything that has to do with China is going to be backed up anyways because
the coronavirus.
Typically for Chinese New Year, they shut down all their industry from the 19th of January until the end of January 31st. And then people start showing back up to work. Well, something a lot of people don't know is that they typically lose about 30% of their workforce. So they have to rehire people. So it's actually longer than that. Where the delays happen. And China's always playing catch up then. Well, now fucking hundreds of thousands of people are being, not millions still, being quarantined. Thousands of people are fucking whatever the fuck, right? So this is going to affect shit too. So China's always a big player in how our economy goes in a new year. There's not going to be any movement there. And now that we have favorable trade deals with them, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. So it would take like a major terrorist attack or a natural disaster of some sort like that to fuck with the economy at this point. And not that they're above it, but you'd have to be a real piece of shit to blame the president for that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't think there's time even for that at this point.
I don't either. And here's what's coming down the pipeline here as far as states go. So on February 11th, we got New Hampshire. Look, that's going to be Sanders. I can tell you right now. He won that the last time, and that's Vermont is real close right there. Nevada. Now this one's interesting. This is February 22nd. This one's interesting because they're using the same app.
Yep. Well, maybe they are.
They paid a lot of money for it, so who knows? I'd go ahead and switch it up. February 29th this year is a leap year. Keep that in mind, kids. There's an extra day in the month of February. South Carolina. South Carolina is a big one. Then we head into Super Tuesday. So, look, we're 29 days away from Super Tuesday. This is Colorado, Alabama, Utah, Oklahoma, Vermont, Texas, Tennessee, Maine, Virginia, North Carolina, California, American Samoa, which I know you're a fan of. Huge American Samoa fan.
Big time, yeah.
Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Arkansas. I think by this point, you'll probably be down to 4, I would say.
I mean, yeah, people run out of money.
Yeah,
is the problem.
Yeah.
But if Biden's already running out of money, you may be down to 3 by then. If Klobuchar doesn't hang on,
I think she's probably out.
You're talking about Buttigieg, Sanders, and Warren at that point because Biden's running out of money. Unless he wins, he will probably win North and South Carolina because a large percentage of Democratic voters there are black people,
right?
And they're not going to vote for these other folks.
No.
But we'll see everywhere else. If he only wins those 2 between now and the end of Super Tuesday, then why hang on at that point?
Man, March 10th, the week after, it's a week from Super Tuesday. Is another one. Mississippi, Michigan, North Dakota, Washington, Missouri, Idaho, and Democrats abroad. I don't know what that means, but I've had a few broads in my life.
No, that's not what it means.
Nope. Okay. But at this point, again, March 3rd to March 10th, we should probably be down to the last 3. One would imagine, right? That's my guess. So, that's kind of it. And I think if Biden's going to get trashed and he's out of this, it's got to be by then, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you can't hang on much longer than that with that. If you're running out,
it depends on how he does in New Hampshire. If he's second there, then he might fucking still have a chance. Remember, he's from, that's his fucking stomping grounds too, not just Bernie. But Bernie's clearly more popular up there. If he can come in second there, then maybe. But if he comes in third behind Buttigieg, which is probably what's going to happen, then I think if I'm him, I'm just like, fuck this, man. I mean, there's a lot of ego and shit involved in that. To think that you're qualified to be president, because no one is.
Right.
It's an impossible job. But I don't know, man. I really don't know what he will do after that.
Because, I mean, look, coming down the home stretch here, you have a state kind of for, twice a week going into June 6th. June 6th, it is all over. That is the Virgin Islands. And let's face it, that's one delegate. It's not going to matter much anyways. I find it interesting that Guam and Kansas are on the same day, May 2nd. Big fan of Guam. And then obviously, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs from Kansas.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Same same state. But yeah, that's kind of where we sit. So yeah, I anticipate if this holds up, if tonight's bullshit holds up, nobody comes out and says it was rigged in the next couple of days or whatever it's going to be. My anticipation is, March 4th, you're probably down to 3 people. Maybe March 10th. I think Biden might hang in there until March 10th. Because he will win South Carolina. Will he make a comeback in these other states? We'll see. Based on tonight's results, or 62% of the results, who would you say is genuinely going to come out of this on the Democratic side?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think it can be Biden because I don't think he can win enough of those states.
I don't think you can place 4th in Iowa
No.
and then come back and win the rest of these states.
If history is any predictor, it's going to be Buttigieg, right?
It is. I think this is an unusual circumstance, and it's just the whole thing now feels off and wrong. I'm still going to lean towards Bernie Sanders. Is there a shot that – and look, we've had Alex Jones on the show. We've had Milo on the show a few times. Is there a shot that Hillary comes out of this and tries to peek her head in? A lot of people are saying Bloomberg might take away votes when he gets in because he's hopping in for Super Tuesday.
If I'm Bloomberg, if I don't win the Democratic nomination, I probably run as an independent because I think that he could win as an independent.
Will not beat Trump.
Not now, but in the future, right? So if he established, because he was an indendependent in New York, right? He wasn't a Democrat in New York.
I believe so.
I'm pretty sure he was.
He was
like Bernie. Like that's why a lot of the Democratic establishment people hate him. It's not just because of his policies; it's because he caucused with Democrats all those years, but he was an independent, and now he just jumped into the Democratic Party because he didn't think a third party candidate could win. So I get it. I would love to see a brokered convention. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
So that's where the delegates vote for something, and then the committee just says, nah.
Is there a shot that this happens this year?
I think so. The last time it happened, I believe, was Eisenhower.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you like? Because obviously I wasn't alive. I think you were, but I wasn't.
No.
What do you do in a situation like this? And then does a candidate like Hillary, who has not been in this entire time, can they just say, look, we're going to pick her anyways, man, if she wants to do it?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Ultimately, there are rules that allow the National Committee to assign delegates however they want. For the most part, there's rules and shit, but let's see.
What would that say to you, if you were a Democratic voter?
I'll read you the rule. This is the Democratic National Convention's rules on a brokered convention. Yeah.
Okay.
So a majority vote of the convention's delegates shall be required to nominate a presidential candidate. However, balloting will continue until a nominee is selected. Super delegates are party leaders who participate as delegates if no winner emerges after the first round. So that means that if there isn't a clear victor from the delegate count, and they can decide that if they want, right, then super delegates are allowed to place votes en masse. And they can pretty much do what they want. But again, another thing that they could do, and this is fucked, but they could just throw the whole thing out and say, we picked them. We don't give a shit what you guys said.
That would be amazing.
It would be pretty funny, yeah.
And also, again, what does this say to the Democratic voter? Like, you were just pulling your pants down, shitting on the whole process, saying, look, man, I don't care that you guys went out, spent all this money, time, effort, $1 billion. Bloomberg bought 5 commercials in the Super Bowl on Sunday at $5.8 million a piece. Like, and just saying, I think we're going to pick Hillary. I think we're good on that. I think she would do it for sure because she doesn't give a fuck about anything. She killed Epstein. So I think she would do it in a second. Your dark horse that everybody wants is Michelle Obama, but I don't think that's going to happen.
What qualification does she have to be president?
Being Barack's wife.
I mean, she's an attorney and apparently a very good one.
Don't know.
No, I mean she has a very good record as an attorney, so maybe that would. No, I don't think there's anybody out there.
So do you think it is Buttigieg who's going to go in against Trump this?
I mean, look, it's hard to run an establishment person against a populist. We learned that last year, right? But technically, Hillary did win the popular vote. They just did Trump's team did a better job of assessing their needs and then fulfilling them in the digital space. So what they did was, instead of saying we need to go win Michigan, this is after he got the nomination, by the way. Instead of saying we need to go win Michigan, his team, and this is Cambridge Analytica, by the way, that did this.
Right.
They said, well, we don't really need to win Michigan. We need to win 10% more in this precinct, 10% more in this precinct, 20% more in this precinct. So they spent a lot of money in these micro spends to target very specific people. And it was incredible. So they used Facebook data, Google data, shit like that, to say, what do these people care about right now? Oh, well, they're afraid of fucking Mexicans or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, spiders.
And like whatever the fuck. They're afraid of heights or whatever. They want this or they want that. And they broke that down on a precinct by precinct basis. Like no shit, but to the precinct level.
Yeah.
And remember, there's 1,681 just in Iowa, which has 12 people in it and isn't even real. So imagine how many there are nationally. They broke all these down independently and said, if we can get these percentages in these places, we will win this whole state. Then we don't have to fucking worry about all that other bullshit. So that's exactly what they did. Now, the question becomes, are they going to be able to do it again this year because of privacy laws and all that other bullshit? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
They will still do it because all you have to do is have partners who are putting out content and see how people engage with that content. So, for example, you would hire some media company, like whomever it is, the fucking Blaze.
Yeah.
And say, hey, make videos about immigration, make videos about the economy, unemployment, blah, 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 and see how people in all these different places react to it. There's nothing illegal about that. You're not violating any privacy because you're not seeing, you're not actually seeing PII, personally identifiable information. You're just seeing that, like, hey, 60% of people in this precinct feel this way. So let's target them with ads with Trump saying that. Right? And that's it. I don't know that the DNC is cohesive enough to do it. You know what I mean?
I don't either.
Because everybody, like, there's a fracture in the
it feels like a broken
Democratic
party
Party,
right now. It feels like a broken party that is searching for an identity, where you have this gang of 8 with AOC and, what's her name? Aqib Talim, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Twalib Kweli from Black Star.
Yeah, from Black Star. No, but you have this gang of 8s with AOC in them, and then you have Sanders and Warren. Mm-hmm. That seems like a fucking third party that is totally different than Democrats. Yeah. And then you have the moderate Democrats, like Buttigieg and Clinton, for example, Clinton and Biden, which are leaning more towards, all right, great, this is traditional Democratic Party.
Which is, by the way, why I think Kamala Harris is gone, because she didn't fit any of that.
No.
Like, she was just all over the fucking place. Like, she's a law and order person, which the Democrats aren't really comfortable with, to be honest. But then she was, like, kind of half progressive and half of this and half of that, and people were like, it's disingenuous. Yeah. Right? I don't understand why they didn't see that about Hillary this whole time, to be honest, because that's her. If any politician in history has ever been disingenuous, it's her.
They had no choice; she'd kill them all.
Yeah.
Kill them all. But the last part of this, you have Bloomberg, right?
Yep.
Who is more towards the middle. He's more like an independent. So you have all these people in this party that aren't really cohesive. They're not together. They just can't figure it the fuck out, and they don't seem like they want to be on the same team at all. Whereas I remember, look, when Trump won the primary, right? It was a fucking shock, obviously. But all the Republicans went all in on Trump, and they were like, well, fuck it. This is our guy, and I guess this is what we have to do now. So let's go and support this. And even through the 3 years, as rocky as they've been in the media and otherwise, right? The support has been unwavering. Even in this impeachment trial, like, they got nothing. Pelosi and Schumer and all those guys got shut down. I mean, say what you want about them. They have stood behind Trump during all of this bullshit. And they're Republicans through and through saying, look, we're doing what's best for the party. And this is what's best for the party. And we're going to give you the right to fight to party.
For your rights to party.
To party. And look, they've been with him this entire time. And shit, the economy has been great. The stock market's been great. The unemployment rate is down. Like, what are you going to do? You got to stand by your candidate, whoever that is. Right now, they just do not want to do that across the board.
Right.
So it's going to be crazy. Tonight's, again, in the State of the Union that's going to happen here in less than 3 hours, the president is going to confront impeachment foes. He's saying right now that I am not bitter. Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is skipping it. This is breaking news.
Is it? What, is she, got to work tonight?
I don't know what she's going to do.
She's tending bar tonight downtown.
Here's a statement from her live right now. After much deliberation, I have decided that I will not use my presence at a state ceremony to normalize Trump's lawless conduct and subversion of the Constitution. None of this is normal, and I will not legitimize it. Consequently, I will not be attending the State of the Union.
How can I make this about me.com?
Yeah.
But that's interesting because it's going to keep going like that. If, provided Trump wins in November, you're going to see more of that. More people will stop going to his stuff. That's and it'll be really interesting because, she thinks she's winning some kind of moral victory by doing that. But all she's really doing...
It's the opposite.
Yeah, she's just fracturing her party and the country more by doing it. If you got something to say, show up and say it. Don't be a fucking coward. That's what I would say to her. Like, you think it's normalizing stuff. No one on earth thinks that you think this is normal or that you agree with him or his behavior. No one. And showing up isn't going to fucking change that, you dumb fucking dummy. So you're going to end up having... lecture halls full of only Republicans or only Democrats at some point.
But here's the thing. This is a take. I'm taking my ball home and crying about it mentality. Like, if I'm in her fucking district, right?
Yeah.
And I see this bullshit that she's not even going to show up for this. Like, you would want somebody there, especially with eyes like hers, as wide as they are, staring the fuck down the president tonight at the State of the Union. Instead, it just looks like, hey, man, we lost, and I'm going home, and I'm not going to be there because I'm going to fucking sit in the bathtub and cry and eat carbs tonight. That's what this seems like to me. So the more and more this shit keeps happening, the more and more it gives the visual effect that he's winning over and over and over again. You've seen these State of the Unions. All they do is cutaways all night long to the crowd. Yeah. That's going to be a glaring absence that she's not there tonight.
Yeah, I would say that these politicians need to start treating this like a relationship. Like, if you were, let's say you're in a bad relationship, if you start acting like a fucking lunatic, then everyone on the exterior is going to ignore the facts of the case that you're trying to present.
Yep.
And start focusing on the fact that you're acting like a crazy asshole.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been doing that with the Squad and all these other dum-dums.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, politics is about branding now. It's not about fucking policy, obviously. Like, Americans in general aren't smart enough to understand policy.
Right.
Like, what do you mean it's this or that? Like, yeah, that's how it works, bro. But they don't understand that. It's a fucking popularity contest. It's about branding, right? It's marketing is what it is, and it's digital marketing now, which is a whole other animal.
Yeah.
So
Trump's campaign manager is actually, all he does is digital marketing.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're like, if you're AOC and you just want to keep getting elected, then that'll work. Yeah, sure. People will keep electing you for that. Maybe. But you're not ever going to be a major player doing that, and you're also not going to affect any kind of change doing that. So, again, it goes back to what I was saying before, which is these people have decided, And it's not just Democrats. Republicans do it too. These people decided that my team is more important than the victory for the country. You know what I mean? Like, it's more important to me that there's a Democrat in office than the country is doing well.
Yeah.
Because that's, if you're tuning out, dropping out of the fucking process, that's what it means to me. So whatever. I mean, she's an idiot anyways. Everybody knows that.
Well, either way, I'm looking forward to it tonight. We're going to head out of here. Somebody on YouTube was like, hey, man, your White Claw game is weak. Look, we've been drinking today. I'm down to the natural lime. Whenever you're down to the natural lime as the last choice of flavor in a White Claw box, you know that you went hard for the day.
Yeah.
Let's face it, nobody's drinking the natural lime. And nobody is going to laugh harder tonight than Donald Trump. So enjoy the State of the Union. Iowa, get your shit together. We will periodically do fucking emergency episodes like this when we feel it is necessary. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of them this year in 2020 during this election cycle. For D'Anthony Holloway, I'm Ross Patterson. We're the Drinkin Bros. Good night, everyone.